from Dhaka in Bangladesh by Farah Kabir, who's the country's Director of Action Aid in Bangladesh. Farah Kabir, thank you so much for your time. Just talk us through what the current situation is in Cox's Bazar. How many people have the coronavirus?
At the moment, 5 people have been identified, and the camp is situated very close to the host population. So the first 2 or 3 were identified in a camp which borders close to the where the host communities live. This is an area where we have more than 800,000 people. It's smaller than Bhutan, I'm told. And can you imagine the density, the congestion there? People living in shelters made of basically a bamboo frame and plastic sheets with tarpaulin. And in each of these shelters, there are anything between 8 or 9 people. So the fear, this was our nightmare. I used to wake up every morning thinking, oh God, please let's not have a positive case. It can spread like wildfire in the camps because of the density.
So given how many people are in such a small area, how likely is it that there will be a large outbreak now?
Well, you need massive testing to be able to identify how many have it. At the moment, there are less than 200 cases that have been identified, and they are being separated and put into isolation. But again, for a country like Bangladesh, isolation spaces are not available. It's not so easy to isolate them. So far, it hasn't spread since the first breakout of the news. It's only been 5 people. But we need to have more testing. We need massive testing, and for that we need global support for the equipment, for the people, for the equipment.
Yeah, and so I wanted to ask you about that. What services are there? What do aid workers have in terms of test kits, in terms of PPE, which we know even in Western and developed countries there have been a shortage of?
Exactly. I mean, Action Aid or any other aid workers can't just go in and do the massive testing. It has to be done by specialized and, so qualified people. So that remains a big challenge. In terms of the PPE, there wasn't adequate. There is an adequate supply of it across the country, and for the camps, of course not. So Action Aid has a special approach of working with women and women leadership. We have women's spaces. There we are producing these masks to be distributed among the refugee women. That's just one of the steps we are trying to take as Action Aid. But we need other support, the whole PPE, the glasses, the suit. But what can you do when you're living in such a congested area with all the provisions? Social distancing is not possible. And where will you take them? Where will you relocate them?
And there's something like only 2,000 ventilators for the whole of Bangladesh, which is a country with a population of 160 million. And there are no intensive care beds in Cox's Bazar. Is that correct?
There weren't, and since the COVID outbreak, there has been construction and certain hospitals have been provided with that. But that's absolutely inadequate. It's like a drop in the ocean when you're looking at the size of the population that could be affected.
And in terms of doctors and nurses, if there is a large-scale outbreak in these refugee camps, are there physically the people there that are able to go in and provide care?
No, it's not available across the country, so Cox's Bazar cannot provide that either. I mean, there has been recruitment of nurses and doctors in the last month or so to try and provide that support, but for Cox's Bazar, no, and we need that support. We need aid workers to come in. Action Aid, as a national organization, has over 250 people working there. But there are many other organizations, but we're still talking about a population of 1 million. And 800,000 of them in just that small space. So it is going to be a severe challenge. And on top of that, we have the cyclone Amphan hovering around our head.
Yes.
And it's going to hit coastal areas.
Yeah, so is that likely to affect these camps?
If it hits, absolutely. every monsoon we are like on pins and needles, and whoever we worship praying that it passes. It just neglects us, the cyclone. So this time again it's there, and we're still not out of the danger. And you can imagine that the camps are located on hills, and they can be washed away. There can be avalanche. There's going to be issues of water supply. There's going to be issue of breakout of diarrhea and dengue on top of COVID-19. So it's a very, very challenging situation down there. And we really hope that the global leadership, including Australia, will be coming forward and supporting us with organizations like ActionAid and others, UN agencies and so on.
You talk about global assistance. What assistance is coming to those camps from the WHO?
Information. Then the WHO had been giving services before, prior to COVID-19. So those are continuing, and other UN agencies are trying to do that. But this calls for special support. That has not been possible. And, COVID-19 pandemic has affected everyone. Even the countries who were there supporting us are struggling. We have had commitments. We are hearing from our friends like Australia or the European Union and so on, but still it's a struggle. And this needs to be multiplied at a power of infinity to be able to service them.
Farah, Kabir, we hope there isn't a large-scale outbreak, but if there is, that there are enough services to help those in need.
Thank you.